Hello again to this video clip series. I'm calling My Journey to God in a Very Secularized World. Continuing a little bit with this topic of birds of a feather flock together to help us open our eyes to, is this bishop really leading me toward God or to hell? You know, who are his friends? You know what I mean? We were talking about before about this, they tried to convince us, in particular in the United States, but around the world, that homosexuality is genetic. These public manipulators have been trying to prove an organic source of homosexuality for many years, but have been unable to do that. For decades, the APA has not considered homosexuality a psychological disorder, while other professionals in the field consider it to be a gender identity problem. And to try to maintain a little credibility, the APA even had to revise their statement on homosexuality. Specifically, in a brochure that first came out in 1998, the APA stated, "There is considerable recent evidence to suggest that biology, including genetic or inborn hormonal factors, play a significant role in a person's sexuality." Contrast this with the new statement, May 2009, when they had to back up because it was proved that they were wrong. And so they then said in 2009, there is no consensus among scientists about the exact reason that an individual develops a heterosexual, bisexual, gay, or lesbian orientation. They had to retract it. And you can find many other topics on the internet. For example, Peter LaBarbera, who heads Americans for Truth about homosexuality, believes the more recent statement is an important admission because it undermines a popular theory. People need to understand that gay gene theory has been one of the biggest propaganda boons of the homosexual movement, and it turned out to be all false. I would like to talk a little bit about recently, in 2019, I think many of you are familiar with Our Lady messages from Akita, Japan, which was approved by Ratzinger. Because after so many years, St. Agnes Sasagawa, born in 1930, of Akita, Japan, has received a new message from her guardian angel on October 6, 2019. After the angel gave a private message to Sister Agnes, the angel gave her a message for everyone. The angel said, "Put on ashes and pray a repentant rosary every day. You, Sister Agnes, must become like a child and make sacrifices every day." Maybe I could repeat one of her very important apparitions a few years before. On October 13th, 1973, the Blessed Virgin, on the anniversary of the last apparition of the miracle of Fatima at Akita, Japan, gave her final message and said to Sister Agnes Sasagawa, and Our Lady said, "As I told you, if men do not repent and better themselves, the Father will inflict a terrible punishment on all humanity. It will be a punishment greater than the deluge, such as one will never have seen before. Fire will fall from the sky and will wipe out a great part of humanity, the good as well as the bad, sparing neither priests nor faithful. The survivals will find themselves so desolate that they will envy the dead. The only arms that will remain for you will be the rosary and sign left by my son. Each day recite the prayers of the rosary. With the rosary, pray for the Pope, the bishops, and the priests. The work of the devil will infiltrate even the church in such a way that one will see cardinals opposing cardinals, bishops against bishops. The priests who venerate me will be scorned and opposed by their confreres, churches, and altars sacked. The church will be full of those who accept compromise, and the demon will press many priests and consecrated souls to lead the service of the Lord. The demon will be especially implacable against souls consecrated to God. The thought of the loss of so many souls is the cause of my sadness. If sins increase in number and gravity, there will be no longer pardon for them. It's also interesting that St. Michael the Archangel at Garabandal, sent by Our Lady, Spain, 1965, said, "Many cardinals, many bishops, and many priests are on the road to perdition, and with them they are bringing many souls." It's interesting also that 3 years later, there was a great rebellion against Humani Vitae, which maintained the perennial teaching of the Church that to use contraceptives is a mortal sin. In other words, there were so many priests saying what people wanted to hear, that it's okay to use contraceptions, and so that they keep their friends. And then St. Michael at Garabandal said there's many priests and bishops and everything on the way to hell, and they're bringing many people with them. How can we get to heaven without a cross? Everybody wants a Christianity without the cross, and to believe that hell doesn't exist. That's the nice lie of the devil to get us all to go to hell. In a similar message of Japan, Sister Lucy of Fatima said to Father Agostino Fuentes, the postulator of the cause of beatification of Jacinta and Francesco, December 26, 1957, she said, "Our Lady is very displeased because it is not taken into account her message of 1917. Neither the good nor the bad have held them in consideration. Believe me, my father, the Lord will punish the world very soon. The punishment is imminent. Many nations will disappear from the face of the earth. Many nations will be annihilated. The devil knows that the religious and the priests, not living up to their beautiful vocation, drag many souls to hell. We have at our disposition two efficacious means, prayer and sacrifice." The third time she said that, the other means exhausted and despised by men, he will give with trembling the last anchor of salvation, which is the most holy Virgin in person. Signs of tears, messages of seers spread in all the parts of the earth. Our Lady said that if we do not listen, and if we still offend, we will not be pardoned. Father, it is urgent that we realize this terrible reality. We do not want to fill the souls with fear, but only it is urgent a recall to reality. From when the Holy Virgin gave such great efficaciousness to the Rosary, there does not exist any material, spiritual, national, or international problem that cannot be resolved with the Most Holy Rosary and with our sacrifices. To recite it with devotion will be to console Mary and to wipe away so many tears from her Immaculate Heart. Our Lady expressly said, "We are approaching the end times." You know, I'd like to give you, here's an interesting thing that I wrote several years ago. The title of this article is "Pope Joseph Will Be Killed, Pope St. Pius X." Because Pope St. Pius X had two visions that were similar to the Fatima vision of Sister Lucy. In 1909, in the midst of an audience with members of the Franciscan order, he seemed to fall into a trance. Moments passed, then his eyes sprung open and he jumped to his feet. "What I have seen is terrifying," he cried out. "Will I be the one, or will it be a successor? I saw the Pope flee from the Vatican, passing over the dead bodies of his priests. Later, on his deathbed, but still clear-headed, another vision came to him, and he spoke. I have seen one of my successors of the same name, who was fleeing over the bodies of his brethren. He will take refuge in some hiding place, but after a brief respite, he will die a cruel death. Respect for God has disappeared from human hearts. they wish to efface even God's memory. This perversity is nothing less than the beginning of the last days of the world. That's what he said before he died. What he was saying there, the name being referred to is not the papal name, Pius or Benedict, but rather the baptismal name. The baptismal name of Pope Pius X is Giuseppe, Joseph in English. Malacor Sarto. The baptismal name of Pope Benedict is Joseph Ratzinger. And then to put that with Fatima, the third apparition of Fatima at the Cova de Ira Fatima, 13 July, Sister Lucia wrote this. She said, I write in obedience to you, my God, who commanded me to do so through His Excellency, the Bishop of Liria, and through your most holy mother of mine. She said that after the two parts which I have already explained, at the left of Our Lady and a little above, we saw an angel with a flaming sword in his left hand. Flashing it, gave out flames that looked as though they would set the world on fire. But they died out in contact with the splendor of Our Lady radiated towards him from her right hand. Pointing to the earth with his right hand, the angel cried out in a loud voice, penance, penance, penance. And we saw in an immense light, that is God, something similar to how people appear in a mirror when they pass in front of it. A bishop dressed in white, we had the impression that it was the Holy Father. Other bishops, priests, men, and women religious going up a steep mountain, at the top of which there was a big cross of rough-hewn trunks, as of a cork tree with the bark. Before reaching there, the Holy Father passed through a big city, half in ruins and half trembling with halting step. Afflicted with pain and sorrow, he prayed for the souls of the corpses he met on his way. Having reached the top of the mountain on his knees, and at the foot of the big cross, he was killed by a group of soldiers who fired bullets and arrows at him. And in the same way, there died, one after another, the other bishops, priests, men and women religious, and various lay people of different ranks and positions. Beneath the two arms of the cross, there were two angels, each with a crystal aspersorum in his hand, in which they gathered up the blood of the martyrs, and with it sprinkled the souls that were making their way to God. That was in Atay, Spain, January 3rd, or maybe March 1st, 1944. She wrote that in her diary. May God bless you and Mary guide you.